on GoSuffolkRams.com. From Boston, Massachusetts, welcome to Suffolk Sounds, the official show for Suffolk University Athletics.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome back into another episode of the Suffolk Sounds podcast. As always, I'm your host, Nick Pernick, back with you again this week, and it's the first episode of the spring season. I couldn't be more excited that it's spring, all this warm weather in Boston. I hope it keeps the snow away, and very excited that it's the spring season and that our baseball and softball teams get underway. They got underway this past week. It was a great week of action, and we're looking forward now to the first teams to compete in the Commonwealth Coast Conference in league games. That'll be this upcoming weekend. We'll get back to those in just a moment. Today, we have an unreal interview with men's cross country and track captain Matyas Csiki-Fejer, who talked at length with me about his experience as a Ram runner. More on that to come, but first, let's catch up on all this past week's action. First, with Suffolk women's hockey, who was unfortunately swept by Endicott in a 6-4 and 2-1 series of losses, that taking place on both Saturday and Sunday this past weekend. Stephanie Moy, Maddie Duff, Shayna Cote, and Maddie Burton each had a goal in all of the contests, with O'Neill and McClellan both between the pipes for both of those tight contests. That wraps up women's hockey season for this year. A great season to those ladies, and we'll hope to see you next year for a full slate of games. Softball completed their first week of games with contests at home against LaSalle and on the road at Framingham State. Alice Farretta had herself a week as she went an impressive 11 of 22 from the batter's box, including 6 extra base hits and 6 runs batted in. The Rams will head to the Fens this Thursday in a night doubleheader at Emmanuel before a weekend slate with Gordon that will kick off their CCC League action. Baseball opened up their 2021 campaign as well with 4 games over the weekend against LaSalle at East Boston Memorial Park. The Rams fell short in the season opener by a score of 5-4, but bounced back to win the following 3 games to start off the year 3-1. Parker Brown pitched a complete game shutout in a 3-0 win. Matt Muscarella had a career day, posting 10 strikeouts in a 15-2 win, and EJ Birch dominated 6 innings in the final game, winning that one 11-2. The squad will look to stay hot next weekend as they also open CCC play against Gordon with a pair of doubleheaders, both on the road and at home. Fans, don't forget you have until noon on every Monday to vote for the Ram of the Week via Twitter poll over at Go Suffolk Rams. Shout out first and foremost here to the back-to-back honoree, Natalie Fraioli of women's basketball. She went back-to-back, had an impressive couple-week stretch there, and unfortunately last weekend's games against Western New England were postponed. We'll have action this week against Gordon College, and those games, we'll see what Natalie can do and if she can keep up her streak or for next week. This week's honorees are Shane Lake of baseball, Maddie Burton of women's hockey, and Ali C. Ferraretta of softball. Make sure to head over to Go Suffolk Rams on Twitter before noontime to cast your vote. That'll happen every week, so just make sure you're staying up to date on that. Sunday night, we'll tweet out the nominees, and then we'll give out the award Monday after the vote comes to a conclusion. To stay up to date on all the news in the world of Suffolk athletics, make sure to bookmark our website, GoSuffolkRams.com, and turn on notifications for both Twitter and Instagram for @GoSuffolkRams. Now back to today's interview. Matyas Csiki-Fejer has been a staple in cross-country and track and field coach Will Feldman's program since the 2010 graduate returned 4 years ago to revitalize the squads. Matyas, a Manchester, Missouri native, is a dual threat for Suffolk, as he has won multiple awards for his success on the courses and track, but also for his academic prowess. The junior standout is not only a double major in political science and law while earning a 4.0 in each of his 5 semesters, he also has more athletic records and honors than I can count. It was great to sit down and talk with Matyas about his student-athlete journey and hear more about the program that he dedicates so much of his time to. That interview starts right now. Matyas, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining me today. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
No problem. And you come to us a 3-sport athlete here at Suffolk University, running with the cross-country team and the indoor and outdoor track and field teams as well. You come to us from Manchester, Missouri, and you study law and public policy. So what about, that academic program and the cross country and track programs brought you to Suffolk, and what about Suffolk enticed you?
So I guess a lot of the credit goes to our current coach, Coach Feldman, for recruiting me because I didn't know about Suffolk before he recruited me. It was my junior year. He had reached out over Facebook Messenger and had called me. And he just seemed like he really knew what he was doing. He wanted to build a new program. He was pretty upfront about the fact that Suffolk didn't really have an existing program. Like they had cross country, they had track as a sport, but there were basically no men who were on the team. So that was a pretty exciting prospect to be able to build something new from the ground up like that. And also, Suffolk just gave me a great financial aid package, and I had never been to Boston before moving day, actually.
Wow.
So I signed myself up for the adventure, and I was just wanting to get out of state, wanting to do something new. So it ended up working out perfectly so far.
Yeah, and it seems like Coach Feldman, through my interactions with him and what I've read and what I know about him so far, is he's been instrumental with this program and getting it off the ground. And he's just gotten high praise from all the colleagues that I work with and all the student athletes around him. And he's been great for this program, starting off very slow, very small numbers, but he's been growing it huge. And this year there's multiple newcomers that come in. What have you kind of been teaching the newcomers along the way? You and your captain group. In both men's and women's. What have you guys been talking to the newcomers about this year? It's a very untraditional year with COVID going on. You miss out on your winter indoor season as well as cross country, and now you're looking ahead to the spring. So what have you told them? It's very untraditional this year. So what's been the message all along?
The main message has probably been to just stay patient because this year it's very weird. And cross country, a lot of the team camaraderie that we develop early on in the season, it comes around with the time that we have meets. Once you start racing, once you start getting into that competitive season, the team really gets close, and that closeness persists throughout indoor track and then outdoor track. So we've had to find workarounds this year, and we've obviously just been spending a lot of time at practice and just having to tell the newcomers that to stay patient because they're having a lot of fun this year so far, so that's good, but it has been a very untraditional year, like you said, and I wish we could give them the full experience for their freshman year, but the time will come. So as long as they don't completely injure themselves, it's going to be a good year next year. So.
Well, I hope no one hurts themselves. I've seen you guys been training in the weight room as well as running around the streets of Boston. So you guys have still been getting some training in, which is great with those newcomers. And like we mentioned, you have some stuff scheduled now. It looks like mid-April you'll get the green light to have an outdoor meet. What does that mean for you? You look at what you've gone through in your career. You've been very highly honored. You've won many awards, and what's that been like to not be able to compete? And now what are you looking forward to in April when you get back into competition form?
It's definitely a bummer, but I've also had the privilege of, still being able to practice, still being able to get together with the team. And I have to be cognizant of that privilege because a lot of schools like Williams, MIT, they're big competitors for us and for everybody in D3, I guess. They don't have a season at all. They don't even have practices. So it could be a lot worse. It could be better. Obviously, we could be having meets all the time, but obviously with COVID, we have to be mindful of the health restrictions that come with that. And I guess what it means for the team that we now have a meet is I'm just happy for the freshmen. I'm happy that they finally get to compete and finally have something to look forward to. As for me, it has been a bummer. I had a lot of goals personally to hit this year, and to just not be able to get to those goals and to not be able to see that progression. For some events, I still have to, if I look at what my personal best is, I have to talk about my personal best from freshman year, which is not reflective of current fitness. And I know if we had an indoor season, I know I would have had a very successful season. So looking towards outdoor, I hope we have outdoor nationals. It's currently still on the docket, and I hope we have multiple meets this outdoor season. But mostly, I think what it means for the team is it's a chance for people to get excited about something and to get ready for the next year, where hopefully we'll have a full schedule of meets and hopefully we'll have a full return to competition.
A full return to competition would be great for next year. We're keeping our fingers crossed for that. But going back, you mentioned, you think you would have had a successful career. Looking at your stats and looking at your honors and awards, I would say so. I think if I listed every award you've won at Suffolk so far, I don't think this interview would end. I think we'd keep going and going between the All-Americans, between the GNAC honors, everything like that. I mean, you have just taken over. What is that? What do you attribute that success to? And talk to me a little bit about what that success has been like.
You're kind of too nice to me, Nick. Well, it's definitely been a wild ride coming in freshman year and just not having a team. It was just like a ragtag group of like 10 freshmen from around the country, and we just didn't know what we were doing at all. So coach would just throw us into meets, see what we could do, and over time, like a lot of these good relationships on the team crystallized, and a lot of our competitive success crystallized because we were just having fun with it. So for me, that was the same thing too. I come from like a pretty good high school program, and I knew in high school that I wasn't like at my full potential when it comes to running, and I still don't think I am. But I knew that I would be competitive, and I wanted to work hard to get to it. So coming into college, like even if I had to do solo workouts, even if I had to do like a lot of mileage just on my own, I was completely fine with that because I had those relationships on the team, to keep me motivated. I had friends and I had a community that I was part of. And I also just was competitive. So I wanted to compete against myself, wanted to see what I could do. And we're still on the grind. We're still moving upwards in the world. So
it's been great to see all the athletic success you've been able to bring to the Suffolk University Rams, but even more impressive, some might say, is your academic success you've had here. Between being in all academic teams, as well as the 4.0 club. I think 5 times you've been named to the 4.0 club, which is just a great honor. Talk to me a little bit about your program here at Suffolk University and the academic success you've seen within it.
So yeah, I mean, academically, it's been a fantastic time these past 5 semesters that I've been here. So I'm a political science and undergrad law double major, and both programs I feel like are just loaded with fantastic professors and students that I've become friends with over time. And it's just it's easy to do well academically when you're learning about things that you're interested in a way that's engaging and is always interesting. So that's just been my experience here. I've always felt engaged, always felt immersed in the material, and it's been a good ride so far. And where else would you want to study something like law and political science than literally in the middle of Boston? You got all the history all around you. The State House is literally like on campus for us, so it's definitely a great time.
Yeah, it's great with all the history, in Boston. It's probably a great place to study political science and law and all of that. But it's also a great place to run. Am I correct in saying that?
I would say so. I think Boston is like one of top 3 running meccas in the world.
Where do you guys run as a team when you practice and when you compete?
So, I mean, since Ridgeway is right on Cambridge Street, the obvious place to go first would be the Esplanade. It's along the Charles River. You just run there. It's a super long trail. It's super nice and well done. And you can also run on the Cambridge side. So that probably goes on for at least 10 miles straight. So any long run you could do there. But also there's a lot of connecting paths to that. You could run through Charlestown. You could run on the Southwest Corridor, which is the orange line. It basically runs through Roxbury and through the entire Boston area. You could run on the Boston Marathon course, which runs through Brookline and Newton. And there's so many places. There's the Chestnut Hill Reservoir. There's Castle Island. It's too many to list. And there's a lot of good runners and a lot of just running culture in the city in general. So there's definitely, and it's definitely easy to find places to run.
Yeah, you talk about the running culture and the running history here in Boston, with the Boston Marathon being right downtown and right down from our campus. Have you ever thought about competing in the Boston Marathon?
Oh man, I feel like as a runner, I just get asked this all the time, but I don't run things that are that long yet.
Hmm.
I've thought about it, sure, but if I were to do it, I feel like I would need to train for a marathon to do it because I would want to be competitive. I would want to be good at it if I were to do it, and I think I could be, but that's a couple of years down the line. That's not right now. Right now we're on like 5Ks, 1500s.
Hey, I don't blame you. I wouldn't be able to train for a 26-mile run. Are you kidding me?
You would be. You would be. I think you underestimate yourself.
I ran cross country in high school, and at most we ran 3.1 in competition. So I think that's a big jump. 23 more miles. I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
I mean that was me too in
I'm out
high
of
school.
shape too. I haven't been running like you have the last 4 years. I've been just chilling.
Yeah, I can forward a training schedule if you want.
Okay. Honestly, if you train me and you and Coach Feldman set me up, I think I could do it.
Yeah, I just join the team. Just join the team.
I got some eligibility left. I think I could do so. That's so funny. So when running, I mean, for myself personally, I really liked running on dirt trails the most. I think it was best for my legs and, my endurance. So, you run on so many different surfaces doing track and cross country. You run on concrete, you run on grass, you run on dirt, and then you run on tracks and treadmills as well. What's your number one favorite surface to run on, and what's your least favorite?
Um, this is a good one. Well, I mean, concrete has to be like the least favorite just because it's like so uninteresting and you're most likely to get injured on concrete just because it's so hard and you're like stake of pounding over time. Most favorite, I mean, running on grass is fun, but I would have to go with the track just because every time we get on a track, we're running fast. We're not doing like slow stuff on a track. So there's all those good memories and feelings associated with it. So I have to go with the track.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I never did track in high school after all those years across country, and I kind of kicked myself for it. I kind of wish I did because I think I would have enjoyed running on tracks.
Yeah, I'm telling you, join the team.
Yeah, we
Join the
did. Hey, you're a good lobbyist. I like this. You're gonna go far in political science. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit more about the city and some of your favorite places to eat within the city.
Okay, so I really love the Q. It's a restaurant in Chinatown. It's a hot pot place. Go there with my girlfriend all the time. It's fantastic. There's honestly so many places to go eat in Boston that it would be difficult to just like even list all of them. Whenever we have freshman recruits, it's pretty funny. I actually have a note on my phone, and it's just a list of all the different restaurants that I would recommend going to that I've gone to before. And it's definitely over 100 restaurants on there. So it's too much to list, but the Q is definitely one that you should check out.
Yeah, I mean, 100 over 100.
Oh yeah, I mean city's chock full of good places. Like it's good food, good drinks everywhere.
That's awesome, though. You got to share the list with me because I think you might be hiding some gems from me. So you mentioned earlier how much you guys do team bonding on the bus rides, and I can attest to that from doing cross country. Meets time, you traveling far, traveling to and from, and you have a lot of time to kill and a lot of time to spend together. So talk to me about some of the funniest memories or some of your fondest memories from either being at a meet or traveling to and from.
Well, being at a meet, so freshman year, we went to Plymouth State, I think. It was up in New Hampshire, but this was an indoor track meet, and the entire town was just covered in snow. It was just so full of snow that like it was difficult to even have the roads cleared. But after we raced and everybody was, just on that runner's high, everybody was feeling good. We were done with our races for the day. We had gone out to look for food around this tiny town where Plymouth State is. And we ended up finding a pizza place. And after we ate, since it was just so full of snow outside, we got in this massive snowball fight. It was just a great time. Although I think one of us jumped like head first into a pile of snow, ended up losing their phone. We had to go back for it afterwards. So it was a good time. It's definitely a good time.
What's some advice you'd give to prospective students looking to maybe come to a city atmosphere and looking to also compete with either cross country or track or even both programs, what's a message you would give to them and why they should come to Suffolk University?
Well, you never get bored. That's definitely a huge draw. I've always felt like college is just a great time to immerse yourself in new experiences. And there's probably no better place to do that than in a city where you have access to all these different opportunities. And Boston doesn't feel as urban or as claustrophobic as other big cities I've been to. It's not like New York, it's not like Chicago, where you just feel like just cramped into this tiny space all the time. It feels very open, and it feels like you have a lot of opportunities to do things that interest you, whether that be even outdoorsy stuff or things related to building your career or just having fun around the city. I feel like you just never would get bored.
Some great words of advice. I'm a great guy. Thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast, and I hope to see you back on campus soon and competing in the near future.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Once again, a huge thanks to Matyas for joining me today. Ram Nation, if you liked what you heard from the episode, please make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Go Suffolk Rams, and make sure to subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform it is that you choose to listen to or watch us on. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll see you soon, Ram Nation.